They did not even replace people's batteries. Yes, if you were willing to spend $200 to have your battery replaced in your iPhone 3 at an Apple store, they wouldn't do it. And with the iPhone 4, there were still cases where they refused to place the battery, fewer and further between. It was only with the newer iPhones that they were willing to actually service the battery. For the longest time, you could go to an Apple store with an appointment and they would not replace your battery. And that was messed up. During those times, during the days of the iPhone 3, if Samsung made this ad, I would be high-fiving them saying, by all means, go ahead and crap on Apple. But to make that ad in mid-2018, in my opinion, is very tone-deaf to the fact that in this specific case, Apple's service is actually better than yours. Not only are they going to replace the battery, not only do they have more store locations to service customers than you, but they're also doing it $40 cheaper. So I don't really understand why it is that you want consumers to do research into this to figure out that your competitor is actually better than you in this small regard. Now, when it comes to lag, Samsung, you're going to make fun of another manufacturer when it comes to lag. I'm sorry. Wasn't it you that was using TLC memory instead of MLC? Wasn't it you that was using memory that had a much shorter life cycle than other companies? Wasn't it you that was using that memory in your Note 1 and Note 2, which became so painfully slow after a year and a half that they were barely usable, even if you did a factory data reset? And isn't it you that are using TouchWiz on these phones instead of stock Android, which makes them slower? I remember when I was comparing my Samsung S5, which cost $600, to my Moto G, which cost less than $250, noticing that my Moto G, on average, was actually, which was third generation, was actually faster than my Samsung S5. The reason for that is that the Motorola series, they don't give you complete stock Android, they give you like 99% stock Android. Whereas Samsung puts skins on their phone, and these skins are something that very few people want. I have never in my life met somebody that said, oh yeah, I totally buy Samsung for TouchWiz. I will not buy a phone if it doesn't have TouchWiz. No. They like the screen, they like the fact that it looks really nice, they like the fact that it's liquid resistant, and it's marketed everywhere. And they were one of the first companies to come out with a large style smartphone, along with HTC with the Evo 4G back in 2010. Before then, you really didn't have any option if you wanted a large screen smartphone. Between 2010 and 2012, most manufacturers used really bad screens in their smartphones. Back then, if you wanted to be able to watch television on the go on the train, if you had a Samsung, it looked 10 times better than all the other phones because of the AMOLED screen, in contrast to the crappy LCDs everybody else was using where the black levels were all off and it looked awful. So that was why people were buying your phones. But I can't remember the last time somebody said, oh yeah, I buy a Samsung phone because they never lag. No. With the memory that you've used in your past phones and the fact that to this day you continue to load that pile of garbage called TouchWiz onto your devices, don't be making fun of other manufacturers for lag, because that's really the pot calling the kettle black. If you want to make fun of Apple because they didn't learn until the iPhone 6 how to make phones with power buttons and volume buttons that didn't break in less than a year, by all means go ahead. That's an easy one. If you want to make fun of Apple for the fact that their phones would bend very easily, and that even with the iPhone 7 they're having baseband issues and they're having audio IC issues, that the iPhone 6 Plus had touch disease and would bend into a little arch, by all means, make fun of them for that. If you want to make fun of them for their draconian rules in their app store that reject things like the new Steam ID app or the missing the headphone jack, there are so many reasons that you can make fun of Apple that are legitimate. But when you make fun of Apple for the things that they're actually doing considerably better than you and cheaper than you, it makes you look foolish. You're making fun of Apple for the two things that they managed to do better than you: not lag and replacing batteries. Why is it that when you're replacing batteries for $70 with mailing, that you're making fun of a company that's replacing batteries for $29 with a store? Why is it that when you make phones that lag and that have this extra nonsensical overlay, that you're making fun of companies that don't have that in their devices? It seems tone deaf and silly and asinine to me that you would include this in your marketing. Market based on what makes you great, not on what makes you worse. And, you know, again, removable back of the phone would be lovely. Like, again, if you want to make fun of this whole planned obsolescence thing, would be nice if you would actually make it so that we can replace our batteries without using a heat gun. You managed to keep the Samsung S5 to be liquid resistant while having a removable back. Would be great to have that in these later devices. But just, you know, pot calling the kettle black. I don't like Apple. I like beating on Apple as much as anybody else, but when I see ads like this, there's so much potential. There's so much wasted potential. You could have made such an amazing ad slam dunking on all the stupid Apple crap, and yet you choose the battery. That every single one of you has been asking that I do a video on, which is what Apple did to Snazzy's iMac Pro. I left a link in the description below to his video. We're going to watch his video and give some thoughts as we go on what could have been done differently. A lot of you think that I'm making this stuff up when I talk about just how bad a lot of the service that you get at the Apple Store is. And no, we're not. As I said in one of the Reddit threads, anybody who is skeptical, I invite you to sit in the front of the store for just 30 minutes and listen to what people say as they walk in the store, and you will learn some stuff. So let's just go over to Snazzy's video here. I want to play this video that Snazzy has, and then we're gonna give our thoughts on it. It's about 12 minutes, so if you're looking for something that's under 3 minutes, you know, this probably isn't it for you. But let's take a look.
This is quite the story. All right, let me give you a little background. I purchased the $5,000 base model iMac Pro back in January of this year, and for the most part, it's been a great machine. Yeah, it's a bit overpriced, but it's been a good performer nonetheless. Now, ever since the 5K iMac came out back in 2012, Apple has made you choose at checkout whether you want the classic iMac stand or a VESA adapter to mount onto a monitor arm, which is the choice that a lot of tall people like myself choose. But they made you pick when you were configuring the machine because it was not removable by the end user. Whatever you chose, stand or VESA mount, that's what you were stuck with. But much to my delight, this was changed with the iMac Pro. The stand is included on every single iMac Pro by default, and if you want the VESA adapter, Apple sells a user installable one on apple.com for $80. Sadly, this thing sucks, and it has been the source of my worst Apple repair experience ever. So back in January, I installed the mount for the first time, and it went just fine. It comes with a little credit card sized tool that allows you to reveal the 9 screws that hold the iMac onto the stand. And once you remove all of those screws, the stand comes off very easily. And then you can put the VESA mount on, which surprisingly only uses 5 of the 9 available screw holes. But I thought, you know, whatever, Apple's great at design, I'm sure it's not an issue. Well, fast forward to March, I'm filming a video and I want to take the iMac off of the VESA kit and put it back on the stand. Now look, I'm sure it's not designed to be pulled on and off and on and off over and over and over, but it never says that you shouldn't take it off or that you can take it off.
All right, so you're all saying you've seen this before, so let's just fast forward to show what they did.
Documentation support inside
so the first thing that they did here is they said that this mount is not made by Apple.
Apple does sell an Apple branded VESA kit on your by Apple, and I couldn't back it out. So I called Apple on the phone, explained the situation, and the representative told me that he couldn't provide support or warranty because the VESA adapter was not manufactured by Apple. And I was just sure that the guy was confused, this was a new computer, and I told him, no look, the iMac Pro is different from the other iMacs. Apple does sell an Apple branded VESA kit on your website. I mean, it's $80, it comes in an Apple box with Apple buttons. Most iMac Pro buyers, probably, I live near several Apple stores. So I figured it's not that big of a deal. I went to one of the stores, and it was a breeze, and everything got fixed in a jiffy.
Let's see if I can fast forward to the picture of the screws.
Not to over tighten, which is good. Okay, we've got 2 out successfully.
This is the money shot right here.
No way. Are you kidding me? Look at that. That's
your $80 mount. Look at that. Look. What do you think those screws are made of?
The way it broke off, it looks like it's made out of pot metal.
That's broken.
It's impossible to make.
And look at what they did to his actual mount.
Zinc or something.
Like you had documentation of the scratches being there.
So now they said that they needed his original stand to do the repair. So why did you think they needed his original stand? The reason I'm including Paul here is you're an automotive tech, so you're used to having to do body work. I have no idea. Why did they want the original stand?
This is a very common issue with anything with automotive, is removing broken fasteners. You'll find that if you search YouTube, you'll find hundreds and hundreds of videos on how to remove broken fasteners professionally. And one of the biggest reason I think they needed that mount was so that they had a guide to drill into it. Because you have to get right in the center of that broken screw and drill into it with, hopefully they're using a left-handed drill bit, a reverse drill bit. And you need something to guide you into it somehow, sometimes if you're not that handy with it, or if you're not used to doing it.
How would you have fixed that? If this came to, let's say, an automotive, if a guy brought his iMac to the automotive shop instead of
we would have been able to fix it, because a good automotive shop is equipped to be able to remove something like this with either easy outs or a left-handed drill bit. First, you need to center punch the very center of that broken screw, and start with a tiny little drill bit and get a divot going in there, and then go with a left-handed drill bit, and it'll eventually heat it up and grip onto it and just twist it right out, and you'll have what's left of the screw just sitting at the end of your drill bit.
So he screwed it wrong.
No.
Okay, now what?
There's no screwing it wrong.
Is it normal for stuff like that to come with screws that are that low quality? When would you expect to get screws that are made of that material?
When? Like IKEA furniture. I would expect that out of IKEA furniture or something like that.
Would you have put those screws back in there if somebody brought that to you and said, fix this for me?
No, I would have ordered some grade 8 hardware or something like that, or like he says in his video, stainless steel screws would have been fine in the aluminum.
How much would stainless steel screws actually cost? So is that going to make the mount $150, or is it?
No way.
How much do those screws cost at Home Depot?
I would think probably about 25 cents a piece.
So probably, since he said something around like 9 screws, you're looking at maybe $3.
That's retail.
$3 retail. This is the company you choose to defend.
The cheapest screws I've ever seen. I've never seen screws break like that.
I like how they said that it's not an Apple product in spite of the fact that it comes with an Apple logo on it.
And it's sold in the Apple. Does Apple sell other products in their Apple store? I thought it was like only their stuff.
Yeah, wait, so maybe that's a counterfeit vase mount.
Ooh, counterfeit vase mount.
I know.
Apple selling their own counterfeit vase mount.
Maybe Apple, yeah, they're counterfeiting their own stuff. Maybe Customs should seize it at the border so that nobody gets these counterfeit evil Apple products with their logo on
That's
them.
a third-party company putting an Apple logo on a product. He showed the documentation, had an Apple logo on it.
That's the thing that I don't get. If you're spending that much, with their whole idea is you're going to spend probably twice as much as you would spend for a similarly spec PC. I would just, if it's $5,000, make it $5,200 and just include a quality mount.
Yeah.
Because it's not like anybody is buying this because they're getting a bargain on it. They know that when they buy that product, they're spending top dollar. Just get it with a mount. I mean, just include the mount and charge extra. It's like Jessa went to this hotel and it was something like $2,000 a night, but you had to pay at the Coke machine and there was some sort of digital rights management on the cup so it would know if you paid again. Like, they're paying $2,000 for the vacation. Just charge them $2,100 a night and say unlimited Coca-Cola. It's like nickel and diming at that extent is just sad. Really sad.
Now, if you're paying $80 for what essentially is just 2 pieces of bent aluminum and drilled machined aluminum, well, why couldn't you get some decent screws?
Yeah, that's really sad. That's pathetic. This goes beyond just not wanting to replace a screen because Linus messed something up. That is just, this is a machine that I don't think anybody should buy. Like, at the very least, just buy a MacBook and just, you know, buy a Mac Pro and then buy a screen that you vase mount to the wall that comes with a proper vase mount. But
and then he talks about in his video that nobody in his Apple store was certified to work on this new machine. Well, I think the Engine Automotive certification, the ASE certification, qualifies you better to be drilling and tapping a hole than anything that Apple would ever have.
Would you trust somebody at the Genius Bar with a drill or any sort of power tool?
Not really.
All right. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something.
Buckle up, because this is quite the story. All right, let me give you a little background. I purchased the $5,000 base model iMac Pro back in January of this year, and for the most part, it's been a great machine. Yeah, it's a bit overpriced, but it's been a good performer nonetheless. Now, ever since the 5K iMac came out back in 2012, Apple has made you choose at checkout whether you want the classic iMac stand or a VESA adapter to mount onto a monitor arm, which is the choice that a lot of tall people like myself choose. But they made you pick when you were configuring the machine because it was not removable by the end user. Whatever you chose, stand or VESA mount, that's what you were stuck with. But much to my delight, this was changed with the iMac Pro. The stand is included on every single iMac Pro by default, and if you want the VESA adapter, Apple sells a user installable one on apple.com for $80. Sadly, this thing sucks, and it has been the source of my worst Apple repair experience ever. So back in January, I installed the mount for the first time, and it went just fine. It comes with a little credit card sized tool that allows you to reveal the 9 screws that hold the iMac onto the stand. And once you remove all of those screws, the stand comes off very easily, and then you can put the VESA mount on, which surprisingly only uses 5 of the 9 available screw holes. But I thought, You know, whatever, Apple's great at design. I'm sure it's not an issue. Well, fast forward to March. I'm filming a video and I want to take the iMac off of the VESA kit and put it back on the stand. Now look, I'm sure it's not designed to be pulled on and off and on and off over and over and over, but it never says that you shouldn't take it off or that you can take it off, and so I did. And in the process, when I was backing out one of the 5 screws, which was not over-tightened, by the way, the screw head just broke clean off from the screw body, and it left the screw stuck inside of the screw hole threads. The end result? Well, this. I couldn't remove the VESA adapter, ever. I considered using a screw extractor, however, the screw was so tiny that I couldn't back it out. So I called Apple on the phone, explained the situation, and the representative told me that he couldn't provide support or warranty because the VESA adapter was not manufactured by Apple. And I was just sure that the guy was confused, this was a new computer, and I told him, no look, the iMac Pro is different from the other iMacs. Apple does sell an Apple branded VESA kit on your website. I mean, it's $80, it comes in an Apple box with Apple documentation, etc. It has Apple, it's an Apple product. And the guy says that even though it was branded as an Apple product, it was actually a licensed OEM that made the part. It was made by another company and just had the Apple logo on it. And that only that company could provide warranty, replacement parts, and support. I was irritated because I said, well, the number for support inside of this kit is to you, Apple, but whatever, if you give me the OEM support number, I'll call them and figure it out with them. He told me that he couldn't give me the number and that I was just on my own. I was so frustrated that I just hung up the phone, grabbed a drill, and went ham on the computer. I was able to thread the screw just far enough so that I could pull the VESA adapter kit off of the back of the iMac, but then I had one of the 9 holes plugged up. But whatever, I was able to successfully put the original stand back on with 8 of the 9 screws. I filmed my video, and honestly, I kind of forgot about the whole thing until I tried to put the VESA kit back on about a month later. Now, when I did try to put it on, I figured I would try using 4 of the 5 screw holes and just see if it would hold. But I didn't even get that far because the first screw went in fine, but the second screw, as I was screwing it in, you guessed it, broke clean off, just like the first one. Now remember, this is only the second time that I'm putting this thing on, and I was super careful to barely tighten those screws, given that I saw how easily the first one broke. It's just that Apple includes the crappiest zinc screws ever on this $90 kit for their $5,000 plus machine. It's absurd. I don't know why they don't include stainless steel screws that cost like a penny more and are way more durable. Obviously, I've got a problem. I can't mount a 25-pound computer with 3 dinky little screws. So I ended up finding an Apple discussions forum thread on apple.com with a couple of other users saying that they've also experienced broken screws. Consequently, I thought, well, surely Apple's figured out a solution in the last 30 days because other people are having the problem. It's going to be fine. Nope. Not only that, but the phone representative told me to just go to the Genius Bar at an Apple store because he didn't even have training or even access to the support documentation for iMac Pro. That the only way to receive support for iMac Pro was to go to an Apple store. It's flabbergasting to me that nobody on the phone at Apple can support the customers who give them thousands and thousands of dollars for a computer. But whatever. Luckily, unlike most iMac Pro buyers, probably, I live near several Apple stores. So I figured it's not that big of a deal. I went to one of the stores, and it was a breeze, and everything got fixed in a jiffy. Right? Well, no. So I got to the Apple store 5 minutes early and had to wait nearly an hour for the head genius, which is a term I've never heard of before, by the way, because he's the only one at that store who is trained to work on iMac Pro, a computer that has been out for nearly 6 months. Now, to give my Apple Store credit, once I did finally meet with the genius, he was very understanding of the situation. And he told me that even though their system said it was considered accidental damage, was not covered by warranty, and would incur an $80 minimum repair fee, that he saw it as a clear design flaw and that the store would do the repair for free in 3 to 5 days. Great. Not the most elegant repair experience ever, but we're finally making progress. 3 to 5 days? I can handle that. Well, 7 days pass, and I've heard nothing. So I call the store and I ask him what's up. The guy on the phone tells me that they had already attempted the repair, but, quote, failed to perform it correctly, end quote, whatever that means. So additional parts and tools that were needed for the repair had been ordered, but they had no ETA on when those parts would arrive or when the repair would be finished. All right. Well, not 5 minutes after hanging up the phone, I get a call from the store manager who tells me a completely different story. that the repair is going fine, that the parts have already arrived, and that the genius who started my repair isn't working over the weekend, but that they've prioritized the repair, the other geniuses know what to do, and it will be done by Monday. Finally. On Monday morning, I get a call telling me that they need the iMac stand that I had here at the office. And I told them that they could put it on the stand if they needed to, but I would prefer them to just install it on the base mount. It'd be easier for me, easier for them, whatever. And they said that they would, but they need the stand to finish the repair. Okay, so Monday afternoon, I dropped the stand off at the Apple Store, and they told me that it would probably be done by Monday evening. Monday evening passes, nothing. Tuesday passes, nothing. I call Wednesday morning, day 13 of this 3 to 5 day repair, and I'm told the following, quote, "This iMac Pro is new and some of the geniuses were confused. They didn't know that the base mount was removable, but our head genius is back today, says he knows how to fix it, and hopefully it'll be done by tonight," end quote. Okay, first of all, the base mount is the whole entire repair. Secondly, how can a genius not know that that's removable? Trained on the iMac Pro or not, that's literally something that's sold in the store. I mean, they should know that. But whatever. Wednesday night at 9 p.m., I'm delighted to see an email that says the repair is complete and I'm ready for pickup the next morning. Now the story's over. No, it's not. I went into the Apple Store Wednesday morning, picked up my computer, and as I'm getting in my car, noticed that the stand that they requested on Monday was completely chowdered. Not only were there scratches all over the thing, but the aluminum anchor points were so warped that I didn't even know if I could ever put the stand back on the iMac. So I went back into the store, said, "Hey, what's up?" And here's a recorded snippet of the event.
We can definitely work on it. I don't know what happened. Like we had documentation of the scratches being there, but not this. So like
There weren't even scratches. It was brand new.
Oh really?
It's fine. I don't even care about the scratches cosmetically, but if I can't even mount it, that's a problem. So
we're gonna have a new one.
yeah, well, thanks for understanding.
Okay, so I get a new stand, but now I'm kind of curious to see if the stand was so screwed up. Is my iMac damaged below the vase mount? So let's take a look. Okay, so we'll remove the iMac from this protective sleeving. See if the screen's okay. Yeah, that's good. They didn't break the glass, so we're off to a good start. Okay, now I need a Torx TR10 screwdriver. And we'll just remove these. And good, that's not very tight, so I have high hopes that the genius didn't, well, yeah, no, that's okay. Okay, one screw comes out okay, two screws come out okay, and now we get to the trouble part. Okay, so hopefully the genius didn't over-tighten these. We're gonna just back them out one by one, very gently, and wow, yeah, no, he was nervous. These are barely finger tight even. Look at that. So he was even spooked. Just careful not to over tighten, which was good. Okay, we've got two out successfully. No way. Are you kidding me? Look at that. That's broken clean off. Look. That's broken. I'm not going to be able to get this thing off again. This is the worst designed Apple product I've ever laid my hands on. Okay, that one came out fine. Here comes the last one. Let's hope it doesn't break too. All right, that came out okay. You've got to be kidding me. This is a joke. I mean, I guess at least it broke to the point where I can pull it out, but look at that. That's one of the screws broken. We're already back to square one. Okay, it's not messed up as badly as the stand, but almost. Got a nick there, nick there, nick there. This whole bottom row is like shaved off. You gotta be kidding me. So, we're back to square one. It's broken again. I'm probably just gonna leave it on the base mount. I'm sure if I went back to the store and really complained, they'd fix it, again, for free. But how, first of all, can Apple sell an $88 adapter for a $5,000 plus computer with screws that break off every single time? It wasn't just my adapter that had a bad batch of screws. This is a brand new one that Apple shipped 3 days ago to the Apple Store. Already broken. It's bananas. Not only am I flabbergasted by that, but I am just so surprised at the sheer lack of training from both the phone reps and the geniuses in the Apple Store with Apple's flagship $5,000 plus computer. Now look, sure, very few consumers are actually going to go out and buy an iMac Pro, so it doesn't really make sense to train everyone on iMac Pro. But I've been buying Apple Pro machines for years, and I have always received top-tier support. In fact, Apple has historically gone above and beyond to make sure that their Pro users are happy. When my out-of-warranty Mac Pro GPUs burned up, they replaced them. Back when I had my trash can Mac Pro, every time I called for support, I immediately got to a high-tier advisor. No phone tree, no wait required. But not anymore. I'm just a regular customer with a machine that nobody knows how to fix. And I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound very pro to me. Well, folks, that's all from me. You should share this video with your friends, with your Twitter followers, with the internet. I feel like more people need to know about this. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you didn't, well, that other button seems to work okay too. Check out some awesome other videos that I've made in the past. They are wonderful, and you will learn quite a lot. And most importantly, and as always, stay snazzy.
What happened? Echo woke up due to a word in a background conversation sounding like the hot word. Then the subsequent conversation was heard as send message request, at which point the Echo said out loud, "To whom?" Now, if the volume was turned down and they were like far away, then they wouldn't have heard that, right? At which point the background conversation was interpreted as a name in the customer's contact list. So they kept having this conversation, and the Echo was just kind of picking out words like, I think it said send message, I think it said to Craig, and then it carried out that that request. And so as unlikely as a string of events like that is, Amazon is evaluating the options to make the case even less likely.
At the same time, like, you have a smart home device.
Yeah.
How often have you had it spring up and do something weird?
Lately, it seems like more than before.
I
Quite
have
a bit.
too.
Quite a bit. So I've got my Google Home Mini. I've went into the settings and turned on the settings so that when you hail it, it goes ba-ding, which is off by default. Normally it just would light up, and I had people across the house, they'd be trying to hail it, and maybe they're not very experienced with it, and they wouldn't know whether or not it had heard them. So I put on the feedback noise. But that's also super helpful too, because then if I'm watching a movie and the movie says something like, no, you go, and that sounds like, hey, then I'll hear it, and I can just say never mind, and it'll turn off again. But I guess what's happening here is the way that that machine learning works, basically with this kind of thing, is there's a probability that when it hears something, it'll say, okay, that's a 0.8 out of 1. Let's say there's an 80% chance that they just said what I think they said, and then there's a decision threshold. So the engineers will say anything greater than a 0.75 is good, and so that counts as, we're going to call that a positive. So you can shift that decision threshold based on the stakes of whatever you're talking about. So if you're talking about a spam email, for example, calling something, letting in spam when it's not spam, that's not that high stakes, because then you log into your email and you have some spam, and then you're like, oh, that's annoying, and I'm just gonna delete it. But calling it an email that is not spam can be catastrophic, because then you don't get back to the client, or you miss an important appointment or whatever. So what they need to do to fix this, I think, is they're probably gonna have to adjust the decision threshold so that they get less false.
appearance, the stable serves its purpose. A stone horse won't need to be fed carrots, will it? Horses of good breeding will have the best coats and manes.
I carry potions, but I don't have anything that will cure the petrifying disease.
Horses need to be protected. Recovery costs can be expensive. A horse must be equipped with a stirrup for you to ride it into combat. yourself from poverty through hard work?
goods without worry, since it's an official trade zone approved by the head of the Merchant Guild.
If you have a lot of stuff, leave it with me. Within your allowed space, of course.
can trust your goods without worry, since it's an official trade zone approved by the head of the Merchant Guild.
If you have a lot of stuff, leave it with me. Within your allowed space, of course.
Eyes of yours and look.
It is I, the owner of this mess. Are you willing to help?
Welcome, adventurer. Please make sure you don't hurt my lamb.
You can entrust your goods without worry, since it's an official trade zone approved by the head of the Merchant Guild. You won't lose out if you trade through me.
Ride horses in the open field. There's nothing quite like it.
If you have a lot of stuff, leave it with me. Within your allowed space, of course.
Heidel doesn't feel heavy like Calpheon. It's too hectic and people are inconsiderate in Calpheon.
vSphere Quick Boot restarts the VMware ESXi hypervisor without rebooting the server hardware. In this video, Update Manager will be used reboot flow that also modern server hardware that is equipped with each physical server is shown on the screen. The one on the left is the Quick Boot host. Quick Boot eliminates the time-consuming hardware initialization phase by shutting down ES ready for operation, while the other host is just Windows. vSphere Quick Boot is an innovative technology from VMware.
You know, going around and hearing the themes of what people are concerned about and had questions about.
Trust services, and I have them on paper. We could for a question by
En tiedä mikähän pöliä meikäläisen takana ajaa, kun se vetää pyyhkiä täysillä koko aika. Mä ajattelin tossa yhdessä vaiheessa, että se pesi vaan lasia, että
Operation Might!
Strange kind of fashion, there's a wrong and a right. Near a tree by a river, there's a hole in the ground where an old man of iron goes around and around. And this mine is a beacon in the veil of the night. For a strange kind of fashion, there's a wrong and a right. He never ever fight over you. Strange kind of fashion, there's a wrong and a right. Near a tree by a river, there's a hole in the ground where an old man of iron goes around and around. And this mine is a beacon in the veil of the night. For a strange kind of fashion, there's a wrong and a right. He never ever fight over you. of fashion, there's a wrong and a right. Near a tree by a river, there's a hole in the ground where an old man of iron goes around and around. And this mine is a beacon in the veil of the night. For a strange kind of fashion, there's a wrong and a right. He never ever fight over you. Mine is a beacon in the veil of the night. For a strange kind of fashion, there's a wrong and a